Thank you, Tony. Our message this morning is the healing of Simon's mother-in-law. And what we're going to be talking about today is the power of love in healing. The power of love in healing. The power of God's love and the power of love that He shares through us to other folks. We're reading from Mark chapter 1, verses 29 through 34. As soon as they left the synagogue, they went with James and John to the home of Simon and Andrew. Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they immediately told Jesus about her. So he went to her. He took her hand, and he helped her up. The fever left her, and she began to wait on them. That evening after sunset, the people brought to Jesus all the sick and demon-possessed. The whole town gathered at the door. And Jesus healed many who had various diseases. He also drove out many demons, but he would not let the demons speak because they knew who he was. This is God's word for us as God's children.
Thanks be God.
As we start this, first an explanation and a disclaimer. This message is not like one of my normal messages. It's a little bit different. This is an adaptation from one that was written by James Moore. James Moore was the former pastor at First Methodist in Shreveport. For 22 years, he was the pastor at St. Luke's in Houston. He wrote many books. He published many sermons. I talked with him a couple of years after he returned home to Dallas for retirement, where he was on the staff as minister in residence at Highland Park Methodist in Dallas. And I asked him how he was doing and what he was doing in retirement, and he says, "I'm just living the life." He said, "I preach, I visit, I write, and I never go to any committee meetings." This sermon is based on a sermon that he wrote. The illustrations in this sermon came from Jim, a man for whom I had very much respect. He passed away in 2019, just a very short time after Jeanette and I had attended a senior adult conference in which he was the main speaker. The opening story is a direct quote from him. He says, "Her name is Jackie Greer. She's without question one of the most amazing persons I have ever known. She is without question one of the most devoted Christians I have ever known. She is without question one of the most influential witnesses for Christ, the Christian faith, and the Christian church that I have ever known. Whoever came up with the idea of the Energizer Bunny in those TV commercials must have had Jackie or someone like her in mind. She is so full of life and zest and energy. Her life is filled with purpose and a checklist of things to do. She's tireless in her love for life, unwavering in her commitment to her God, her church, and her friends. This is all the more amazing because on March 23rd of this year, the year that he wrote this, she will become 94 years young." Our church honored Jackie in 1999 by giving her the St. Luke's United Methodist Church Distinguished Life Award. This is the highest award that our church gives, and is presented to special people who have served our church in signal ways over many years, who have lived before us in the Spirit of Christ. Jackie Greer has done all of that and then some. Jackie was honored again a few weeks ago, February 2003, by our church. She was the guest of honor at our annual Women's Ministry Tea for her incredible record of service to our church, for her compassionate, can-do spirit. Since becoming part of our church family, and years before that in other churches, Jackie has been an exemplary servant of the church, teacher, counselor, mentor, advocate, leader of workshops and seminars, and caller of first-time visitors. Jackie is all those and much more. The women's tea honoring her was held on a Sunday afternoon. The following Wednesday morning, she checked into the hospital for surgery. The surgery went well. We had prayer together on the Tuesday night before surgery, and I reminded her that I had a funeral the next morning, but some of our other ministers and staff would check on her, and they did that well and they kept me informed, he says, of her excellent progress. She was back from surgery and recovery and in the hospital room by early Wednesday afternoon. I called Jackie's room. The line was busy. I tried again. Busy again. Finally, after 30 minutes or so, I got through and Jackie answered the phone. She sounded great. We celebrated her good results. We had a prayer of thanksgiving. And I said, Jackie, I've been trying to reach you for some time, but the line has been busy. You'll not believe what she said to me. She said, yeah, I know. I've been on the phone calling our first-time visitors. Now, think about it. Jackie's 94 years old. She's in the hospital just a few hours after major surgery. And she was calling people who had visited the church the first time, the previous Sunday. And she said, I got a commitment from one family. They're going to join in the 11 o'clock service this coming Sunday. Let me tell you about that conversation. She reached the man at his office. She told him she was 94 years old and that she was the great-grandmother of St. Luke's Church. And we have a great church. And one thing that would make it better is if this man and his family would come back and join the church. As is the case with many people who visit with Jackie, the man was astounded. And he said, now let me get this straight. You're 94 years old and you're making phone calls for your church? That's unbelievable. Well, Jackie said, if you think that's unbelievable, guess where I am right now? I'm in the hospital. As a patient, the man said. Yes, I had surgery, Jackie said. Surgery? When? The man asked. Jackie responded, this morning. This morning, the man exclaimed. She said, yes, this morning. But I'm back in my room now and I'm just doing fine. The man said, Jackie, my family and I will be there to join the church next Sunday in the 11 o'clock service. If anybody loves the church that much, the way you do, it must be some kind of church. The life of Jackie Greer is even more remarkable when you realize that life has not been a bed of roses for Jackie. She experienced a lot of tragedy and heartache in her lifetime. She lost her dad tragically when she was quite young. Her husband died in the war effort not long after they were married. She's known sickness and sadness and disappointment, but she never wavered in her love for God, her love for people, her love for the church, and her love for life. She's looked for a new place to serve. She looked for a new opportunity to serve God and new people. Why? Because she is so grateful to God for what He has done for her, what He has done through Jesus for her. She's thankful to God for all the hope and help that He's given her, but she can't sit still. Motivated daily by that gratitude to God, she wants to share God's love with everybody she meets. She wrote her autobiography. Her autobiography is called So Life Always Begins. What that means is, whatever may come our way, God will love us through it and will heal us and give us a new start and a new life. God, through His love, always has a new beginning for us. You know, interestingly, Jackie reminds me of Simon's mother-in-law in our text for today that we just read. You see, in our scripture passage for today, Simon's mother-in-law was sick. Christ healed her. She was knocked flat by this fever, and Christ came and lifted her up. She's so grateful for the healing, that this new lease on life that she has, and in gratitude, she reaches out to serve others. Here in this story, we've got three basic elements in the Christian faith. We have our need, we have God's action, and we have our response. We have a fevered, sin-sick soul. God heals us, and in gratitude, we serve Him. The story in Mark also teaches us how powerful love really is. You see, love can cure, can mend, can make whole. And when we're truly made whole, we want to pass that love on to others. Such is the power of love. Let me show you what I mean. First of all, love has the power to heal us physically. Simon's mother-in-law was physically ill with a fever. Jesus healed her lovingly. Scientific research is now confirming what many of us have thought all along. Love plays a big part in the healing of a hurting body. Jim tells a story about a fellow by the name of Roy Angel who told a story about a particularly affectionate young puppy who liked to hang out around the sanitarium, the hospital. A doctor at the sanitarium decided to try an experiment on the puppy. She made a cut on the puppy's leg. She bandaged it, and she instructed the folks at the sanitarium to feed the puppy when he's hungry, but don't show him any affection. No physical affection, no verbal affection. The change in the little dog was quick. It was dramatic. Before he had been energetic and frisky and happy and friendly, he now seemed quite forlorn, pitiful. Even more significantly, 6 weeks later, the incision had not healed. The doctor then gave some new instructions to everybody. He said, everybody at the sanitarium to do just the opposite. Lavish love on that little puppy. Speak kindly to him, hold him, pet him, stroke him, love him. Amazingly, the puppy was frisky again real soon, happy and energetic, and the incision healed quickly. Point's clear. The healing streams that lie within our body, which may be energized and activated by the power of love, are very strong, very potent. More so, perhaps, than we even realize. A few years ago in Sweden, a nurse working in a government hospital was assigned to an elderly woman patient. The patient was a tough case. She hadn't spoken a word in 3 years. The other nurses disliked her. They tried to avoid her as much as they could. Pretty basically, they ignored her. But the new nurse decided to try unconditional love. The elderly woman patient rocked all day in a rocking chair. So one day the nurse just pulled up a rocking chair and sat there beside her and rocked along with her. Loved on her, touched her every now and then, reach over and gently touch and pat the hand of the elderly woman. After a few days of this, the patient suddenly opened her eyes and she turned and she said to the nurse, "You're so kind." The next day she talked some more. And incredibly, 2 weeks later, the lady was well enough to leave the hospital and go home. Of course, it doesn't always work like that. Not every illness that we have is going to be cured totally by love, by how much somebody loves us or how much we feel the love of God. But I think the evidence is very clear that where we accept the love of God and where we who are well share the love of God, it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. The way that we look at the illness, the way that we feel about whatever's bothering us. It may not heal us, but it will make us so much better as we receive that love, as we recognize that love. There are studies that are accumulating that show without question love has healing power. Anybody remember the poet Elizabeth Barrett? Or do you remember Elizabeth Barrett Browning? Yeah, okay. Elizabeth Barrett was an invalid for many years. She was unable to even lift her head from her pillow. One day she was visited by a man named Robert Browning. It was love at first sight. In one visit, he brought her so much joy and happiness that she lifted her head. On his second visit, she sat up in the bed. And on the third visit, they eloped. Love can heal us physically. No wonder people were healed by coming in contact with Jesus. He was love incarnate. And that's what he is calling us to be today. Love made flesh. Love personified. Love lived out. That's the first point. Love can heal our bodies. Love can heal us physically. Second point. Love has the power to heal us emotionally. Don't you imagine Simon's mother-in-law was sick emotionally that day too? Don't you imagine she was down because all these people are at her house and she can't do anything to serve them? It's another illustration from James Moore. He says some years ago, when I was serving a church in another state, a doctor and his wife came to see me one day. They were burdened, worried, troubled. It was obvious. I could tell that they had both been crying. The doctor spoke first. It's our daughter, Betty. She's 18 years old now, and we are worried sick about her. She has absolutely no self-esteem at all. And she's got a reputation around town. Reputation? Jim asked. What do you mean? Well, said the doctor painfully, her self-esteem is so low that anytime any man pays attention to her, his voice trailed off as he began to sob. Doctor's wife said it bluntly. Jim, she can't say no to any man. And now she has this horrible reputation. It's all over town. We're worried sick. We're scared. We're at the end of our rope. We don't know what to do with her. She's emotionally ill. She needs help. Jim says, I met with Betty. They were right about her self-esteem. It was non-existent. She walked slumped over. Her hair was dirty and scraggly. Her clothes were unkempt and out of style. She wore no makeup. She couldn't look me in the eye. Most of the time she stared at the floor, and when she looked up, her eyes darted like a scared rabbit. She was in a pitiful state. She looked like Ruth Buzzy on the character on the old Laugh-In TV show. Jim says, I brought in a psychiatrist. We both worked with her, but to be honest, we didn't make much progress at all. It seemed hopeless. The most amazing thing happened. A new young man named Jerry moved to town. He was the son of a Methodist minister, and he fell in love with Betty. He said, Betty, I know about your past. I know about your reputation. I know the names they called you. I've heard the rumors, but I also know that I love you, and you are so beautiful to me. He kept telling her that. I love you. You are beautiful. Pretty soon, she started believing him. She began to stand up straight. She put on a little makeup. She fixed her eyes. She combed her hair. She bought some new clothes. And she did something else that I'd never seen her do before. She started smiling. Not long after, I performed their wedding. Shortly thereafter, I moved away to another city. A couple of years later, I was invited to come back to that church to preach one Sunday morning. As I walked toward the sanctuary, I passed through the children's building, and I saw Jerry coming out of the Sunday school room. He had been teaching 4th grade. With him was a gorgeous woman. She looked like a model, tall, stately, poised, radiant, and I thought, oh my goodness, Jerry has left Betty and found somebody else. But I was wrong. As I drew closer to them, I realized the gorgeous, radiant, confident woman who had been helping Jerry teach Sunday school was none other than Betty herself. I could hardly believe my eyes. Deep down in my heart, I hummed the doxology. Betty had been reformed. She had been restored. She had been transformed. She had been made well. She had been healed by love. Love has the power to heal physically and to heal emotionally. And third and finally, love has the power to heal us spiritually. Now I have right here, Chris, pretty $5 bill. Who wants it? I got one hand. I see another hand. Anybody else? Anybody else really would like that? I see some more hands up back there. I see several hands. I'm going to give it to somebody. But first, let me do this to it. Who wants it now? Same people. Still want it. It's crumpled. But you still want it, right? Okay, what if I do this? Who wants it now? Same one. Everybody still wants it. You just learned a very valuable lesson there in case you don't realize it. No matter what I did to the money, you still wanted it because It's not decreased in value, is it? Doesn't look as good as it did when I started, but it's not decreased in value, right? No matter how smudged, no matter how rumpled it becomes, it's still worth $5, right? Many times in our lives, we get knocked around. We get dropped. We get crumpled. We get smudged. We get ground into the dirt by the decisions that we make, by the circumstances that come our way. And sometimes we feel as though we are worthless and used up and of no account. But no matter what has happened, no matter what will happen, you never lose your value in God's eyes. You never lose your value in God's eyes. To Him, dirty or clean, crumpled or creased, you are still precious to Him. Psalm 17:8 states that God will always keep us as the apple of His eye, not because we're good, but because He is good. So let me ask you something. Do you feel spiritually sick this morning? You have a fevered soul right now? The doctor is in the house. Jesus Christ is the great physician. And just as His love healed Simon's mother-in-law, even so, His love can heal you, can help you, can cure you, can redeem you, can save you. His love can restore you and make you whole. And then when that happens, you can't sit still. In gratitude, you want to serve. You want to help others. You want to pass it on to everybody that you meet. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and we are singing, Pass It On. We're ready.